Hey, hey, hey. It's Filter Free Friday, y'all. Listen, I'm so glad y'all here. I woke up this morning to my 81-year-old friend Jim's question on social media, and it was him recounting a story when he asked his Sunday school teacher, why was David chosen? And he had told me about it before, so I quickly just put the prompt into ChatGPT and quickly got a response that gave 5 reasons why David was chosen to fight Goliath. And it reminds me of what do I know about David and why, and how do we pick what we remember and why or why not? Because it is much easier for me to remember the times when David has been left out and left behind and gotten it wrong than it is for me to remember the reasons why David was chosen. And the same is true for myself. I was one of the beautiful things that happened as a result of my DNA discovery is that I got a chance to talk with my. Um, I'm gonna call him a friend, but Deacon Early Harper is friend is not the right word. It's probably like lifelong mentor, a spiritual advisor, exemplar in my mind. And Deacon Harper is 87. And I often say, if Deacon Harper doesn't make it to heaven, don't none of us have a chance. I mean, he is just a powerful man of God. But I went to go see him when I learned that I had a different father, and I wanted to know, and I figured that Deacon Harper would tell me the truth about who my dad was, and give me all the details. But because he is Deacon Harper, yes, he is a man of faith, and yes, he is a man who tells the truth all the time. But he is also a person that if he thinks something gonna make somebody look bad, he ain't gonna say it. He just ain't gonna say it. So he did a whole bunch of hemming and hawing and telling me that he didn't remember. But here was the beautiful part about that discussion. All of my life, I thought I had gotten kicked out of Sunday school. I thought I'd gotten ditched. I thought that the reason that I was in class with the young adults when I was like 10 was because of the questions that I was asking while I was in Sunday school. But Deacon Early Harper's wife was my Sunday school teacher when I got kicked out, Sister Barbara Harper. And I had asked the question, specifically one Sunday, that if Adam and Eve were the first people in the Bible, we had just finished going through the Bible in one year, and I wanted to know, well, who were the people who were referenced in Genesis 1, who showed up before Adam and Eve? And I thought that question had gotten me kicked out. Because the next Sunday I was in with the older students. But here's what I learned from Deacon Harper. After that day, Sister Barbara Jean Harper went to him and actually said, I think Nicole should be in the class with the other students because of the types of questions she asks. And that's when Sam Harper became my teacher. And I talk about Uncle Sam in many of my books. But here's what's interesting. Um, in this particular situation, I didn't have the whole story, but I don't always have gaps in the story. And I still tend to remember when I get ditched versus when I get accepted. In fact, I find that when I talk about those times that I get left out, that there's a lot more interest in those stories than there is about the times when I was chosen. I was watching Six AAA, and there was mixed reviews from Tyler Perry and how people thought that he had done on that movie. But even at the end of that movie, when they say that those ladies sorted 17 million pieces of mail in less than 90 days, what stuck with me was that Charity Adams, who ended up being a lieutenant colonel, what stuck with me was that Charity had like 3 degrees, spoke Latin, and folk wouldn't even salute her when she got there. What stuck with me was the bad parts, that they had no heat, that they didn't have uniforms that fit, that when a couple people, oh, I won't do a spoiler, but that's the part that stuck out to me. Um, the evilness of the opposition rather than a central character who shows up early in the movie was not exclusionary at all. What stuck out to me was the negative. And I wonder at times why that is. And what's beautiful, even though I don't think like if I wrote a whole book about being chosen to be in the older Sunday school class, even though I think this is a pretty juvenile um, subject, I don't know that anybody would read it. What people want to read is stories of overcoming. And here's what's a challenge to me is that then once you overcome, then folk don't want to hear from you no more. Child, in addition to watching Six Triple Eight while I was in Coahoma County with, actually with my family from Coahoma County in Dallas, Texas. We also, got to see the Beyonce halftime show. Child, listen, singing while on a horse. Got a 12-year-old baby out there, elevating four other Black country female singers, bringing out Shabuzi. Like, I mean, the marching band from HBCU. And listen, did y'all see that gallop? Honey, did you see the gallop? It wasn't just a regular old march. It was a gallop. Did you see that gallop? I was like the all white get up. I was just impressed by it all. But interestingly enough, when I would ask people, what do you think about Beyonce? What stood out to me were the people who were like, I wasn't all that impressed. Dude, you put me on a horse, first of all, I'm probably gonna fall off. Second of all, if I'm trying to sing while I'm on a horse, child, to her. And then hair looking beautiful, ain't no flyaways. Like, first of all, my bar like here. And what Beyonce does is like here. And it's something about like, has anybody even heard Blue Ivy speak besides in the new Lion King movie, which by the way, I also appreciated. A side note, the evil lions, you would expect them to have been darkened. And in this particular version, they are not. They are actually white lions, which I was like, ha ha, see what you did there, Disney. Um, you just can't be too high, right? Like once you get over the obstacles, then people are like, don't fly too high. Same is true with the Kansas City Chiefs. Love them or hate them, the name is a whole issue. We know that. But I remember when we would win 2 games a season. My entire life, and I'm almost 50, we were a losing team. We would win all season, then when I lose our first game in the playoffs. There's something about me who kind of just remembers that. And telling that story just feels um like, oh my goodness, that Jiminy Christmas. We have a lot to be able to be grateful for around here because we were like losers. But then when we won that first Super Bowl, and then we won that second Super Bowl, and then we start listen, we got more haters in this city than when the New England Patriots were on top. And what I think is interesting is I'm going to just go back to this idea of you. Today is the second day of Kwanzaa. Kujichagalia. I love to say it. That's why I think it's my favorite day. And it means self determination. And when you think about your life and what you focus on, where do you tend to focus? Do you tend to focus on the obstacles that have been in your way? Or do you tend to focus on why those obstacles might have been there to help you when you are the chosen one? Because when I look back over my life, there isn't a single thing that has happened, positive or negative, that has not been there to help me on this journey I'm on today. The times I've been ditched and the times I've been chosen. And I think personally, my good friend Jim said to me this morning, he said, Nicole, you can always talk about and find holes in an argument. Always. So if you can find the holes, then you can patch them. And I am inspired. I know folk don't like Tyler Perry. They can't stand Medea. They got all these reasons. When you listen to that man's story, you watch that documentary, everything he does makes total sense once you know the story. All of us are a sum total of the experiences that we've had. And how do you use those experiences to shape kind of who you are and what you want to be? Or how do you look at those experiences and then they end up being thorns in our sides that we refuse to pull out and allow things to heal. Because the book, The Untethered Soul, has a very early analogy that I appreciate. And it says, many of us walk around with a thorn in our side and it starts to fester. And instead of pulling that thorn out, we protect it and we don't want anybody to touch it. And when they do touch it, then we're like, oh my goodness. Now we're mad and direct our attention towards the people who touched the thorn. But on this beautiful day focused on self-determination, we have the power to heal ourselves. And as we heal ourselves, we have the power to heal our families and our nation and possibly even our entire world. Because when we pull a thorn out, it hurts. It hurts just as much to leave it in as it does to take it out. And as we take out these perpetual thorns, and as we look at what we can do to start to focus on that wound for the sake of healing it, for the for the sake of healing, for the sake of healing it. And I am inspired today by the women of 6888 because if the story weren't true, I wouldn't believe it. It would feel like it was one of those far-reaching stretches of Mr. Tyler Perry. 17 million pieces of mail. No direct orders, no support, giving wrong information. Clothes don't fit, cold, and everybody coming with their own level of experiences that they had to overcome. But at the end of the day, the main point is they were chosen. So what are you chosen to do? And how has your experience, your background, the thorns in your side, the negative aspects of your experiences as well as the positive ones shaped you to make you able to do what you do, for you to be able to live according to the purpose for which you were chosen. I'm gonna be working on this. I'm gonna be working on this. My two words for 2025. I usually pick one word, but I'm picking two this year, and it is let them. It is based off of the book by Mel Robbins, which I haven't read because I am practicing anti-materialism at this moment. So I haven't bought it, and it's not the library. But the concept is one of radical acceptance. And even when I was thinking about radical acceptance, I would always think about the negative things that I have to radically accept. But there are also positive things that we can radically accept. I was with my auntie this week, and my goodness, the love that she gives me is unmatched. And sometimes so that I feel like I can't even, not even worthy of it. And I had to practice radical acceptance, accepting that she is going to be who she is, no matter how I show up. And there's hardly anything I can do to deserve it because that's just who she is. That's just who she is. And I am looking forward to radical acceptance in both the positive and the negative ways, not just the negative ways. And I'm looking forward to pivoting a bit from poking holes in arguments to looking up and saying, if there is something wrong, which there always is, how can I be the unifier to plug the holes, to focus on the spaces that are solid, not the holy space. Focus on the solid spaces in the way that I can help to move us forward. And I can do that for myself. And I think that is a beautiful message, if I may say so myself, on this here Kujichagalia. And I wish you all a beautiful beautiful rest of your holiday season, and I'll see you after the New Year's. Filter Free Friday, y'all. We got plenty work to do.